is Ryan Bennett, and I'm founder and partner of a company named 38 Degrees North, based in Sausalito, California. We have been around for about 10 years, and we brought in S2G as our first corporate investor a year and a half ago, and have really enjoyed working with the team. Priyanka Devuru is on our board, Bala's on our board, and we work closely with Miles Russo right there. Our business model is to aggregate projects from original developers and build out those projects using project finance and capital and putting kind of the ecosystem of various parties that need to be involved in the projects to really create the value. The end game for us is to create an operating base of projects, and we're involved both upstream in the development of projects and the value creation side upstream. But we're not a large organization. We run lean, and we work with developers who are in specific markets to create channel deals with them, where we're supplying development capital and we're acquiring their projects from them on a systematic and repeatable basis in specific markets that they're hunting in. The end goal for us is to build cash flows on our balance sheet and cash flows that are indexed to the retail pricing of electricity, which, as Frank and Bala just indicated, prices are going up, and that's an exposure that we really want to have. And over the long run, we think that exposure is going to be really valuable for other investors looking to come into the space as we aggregate projects. Just a commentary on the difference between the wholesale markets and the retail markets, which again, I think, hits on the themes that Bala and Frank went through. Basically, there's two ways for renewable power developers to play these markets. You can develop on the wholesale basis, or you can develop on the retail basis. Wholesale markets are generally lower in price. Pricing tends to track with marginal costs of natural gas, which can go up and down. Pricing is dependent on supply and demand dynamics, and there's generally more volatility in the price regimes in those markets. And because the price is lower, developers need to secure long-term PPA agreements or offtake agreements on a take-or-pay basis in order to finance the projects, right? So generally speaking, these projects are very large. They require a ton of capital to even get through the development cycle. And what we're seeing now with interconnection timeframes, these things take 10 to 15 years of getting in the IX queue to even be able to have a project that you're going to develop. And we're talking, for a 500 megawatt projects, putting in $50 million just to sit there in an IX queue for that period of time. The game can only be played by massive players with big balance sheets, right? The barriers to entry, therefore, are pretty high unless you're a scrappy team just running around getting site control and then flipping your projects mid-development to those types of larger companies. Because the power prices are lower, the construction costs need to be really efficient to build these projects. So you need big EPC companies to work on the projects, and you need to really have well-priced project finance capital, which you're not going to have committed until you actually have an asset that's ready to build, right? So you're taking a lot of risk through the development cycle, waiting a lot of time. You might be able to hit a home run, but it's like a different game than we're capable of playing. Instead, we play on the retail side of the market where prices are much higher. Prices are higher because you've got transmission and distribution charges that are being added to the wholesale charges, right? And prices are generally more stable than the wholesale markets because of the fact that these are regulated rates, and we see price go up, but they never go down in the retail markets, right? So this is where we like to play. It is a different risk profile for sure than wholesale markets, where you've got a PPA on the other side of a project. It's really bankable. You get really well-priced capital. In the retail space, you can develop projects really quickly because you're able to go in through the distribution system as opposed to the transmission system. So you can turn around projects in 1 to 3 years generally. And the idea is to find many different projects and kind of create a bit of a flow engine to be able to develop those types of assets. So yeah, these projects generally have significantly higher revenue. But what I would say is like the credit profile of that revenue is a lot different than wholesale projects, right? You've got customer credit issues, you've got homeowners or, C&I customers on the other side. You've got to evaluate that credit. The cost of capital is actually higher, but because the cash flows are so much higher than the retail markets, what we find is that we're able to source a lot of institutional capital when we get to permanent operations on the projects. And so our equity hold when we place projects in service is between 0 to 10%, sometimes negative on these projects. So for us, creating a flow business, it's a game of deploying equity capital early to develop and buy projects from original developers, take that through the construction cycle, and then we get to permanent operations. That money's coming back over to us, and then we're able to refire that money back upstream to continue to grow the business. And that way, it's a bit of a flywheel model that we're creating with our equity, and we're really trying to, the theme of our business is to stay really lean and agile. We do that on the human capital side, and we're trying to do that on the equity side. Fundamentals, though, are massive, and I won't repeat what Bala went through, but, growth rates have been skyrocketing over the last few years. You can see a California growth rate of 10% year-over-year forecast, which is probably conservative, honestly. This means doubling of power prices within the next 4 years, a tripling within 10 years. And nobody's ready for this. And this is really where we see the opportunity. The main way that we're playing this space now is in community solar. For those that don't know, it's a state-level program that allows smaller ground mount projects to be able to sell credits from the electricity generation to end users. And so the game here is once a state program is opened up, you can participate in that by getting interconnection positions, being qualified for the program, and then for every kilowatt hour that you produce, you're offsetting that against a homeowner's or small businesses' load. And you have to load match that, and you entice them to subscribe into the project by offering them a discount to the utility bill that they would otherwise be paying. And we've been successful in getting really well-structured project finance capital to be able to go alongside us as we've, shaped these deals and made them financeable along the way. States really like community solar because, fundamentally you're democratizing solar and you're allowing people without roof space or land or low and medium income homeowners to be able to reap the benefits of renewable energy, giving them a discount to their utility bills. So overall, we like community solar because you can develop projects really quickly. Once a market is open, there's repeatability and scale in the market. The cash flows are complex, but you can design creative capital structure around it. And given the high pricing of the energy rates, you're better able to weather shocks to like ITC reduction impacts or tariffs or other kind of exogenous factors that would otherwise, I think, on the utility scale, blow up a deal completely. This is a kind of depiction of why we think that we're relatively unique amongst our peers in this space. I think the key here is that we really lean to a partnership approach with people. We're not a large company. There's many other people in our space that are like us, that have raised a ton of capital that are doing that. But we find that the fixed costs of human resources can really turn a company inside out if things slow down or you need to pivot to other territories. So it's all about creating a teaming relationship with other people. You've got to be a good partner. You've got to be there when things go wrong and be problem solvers. And so we're kind of like deal makers, I guess, at the end of the day, but we're people. And that's, I think, how we really differentiate ourselves. That's our reputation in the industry. And that's how we're trying to groom our junior resources to be on the front lines with us. But really, at the end of the day, we're trying to create sustainable cash flows from our business. We're trying to play upstream and take positions early in the development phase to get upside. We know that through this partnership approach, we're giving up some of the value stack that exists within developing these projects, right? We're giving that value to the original developers that we work with. But we think that the end game here is really an aggregated set of like well-sculpted cash flows at the end of the day. And that's where we're really going to grow our enterprise value. And we'll give up ups on the front end in order to create the kind of stability of the operating position. So that's us. Thank you.